Good afternoon, guys. How's everyone doing this Monday afternoon? Hope you're all in the best of health, the best of wealth. I hope you're being the best version of yourself you could possibly be. Because in today's society, 2025, that's the only way to be. Welcome to my channel, guys. I'm a little bit chesty tonight. It's another subject altogether what I'll talk to you about. But yeah, welcome to my channel, guys, Motocross Mania TV. Thank you to everyone that's just landed on my channel. Thanks to those that's been on my channel from day one of my journey. Thanks to everyone that comments underneath every one of my videos, because, you know, whatever you comment, I will comment back. Basically, so if you write anything underneath any one of my videos what I make, I would find the time to comment back. Because, you know, I like to give respect where respect is due. I'm old-fashioned. I've got old-fashioned values, old-fashioned morals, old-fashioned solidarity, old-fashioned destiny. I'm old school. I really am old school. I'll be talking to you a little bit in a minute about my book. I don't know if it's coming back to front on there. It's a little bit weird because I can't turn the camera on this phone, because it's an iPhone and you can't turn the cameras on them. So yeah, I'll be talking to you a little bit about my book, which is on Amazon. As you can see from the cover, it's called The South London Bolster Boys Tales. It's a true account, life story of my past. Took me 3 years, maybe even 4 years to actually do, because I don't use ghost writers. I've never written a book in my life. I'm not an author by any stretch of the imagination. So I wasn't an author at the time when I wrote this book. But yeah, I suppose after writing that book and nearly finishing my second book, I'm classed as an author. So I learnt on the job. That is how quick I pick things up at the click of your fingers or the drop of a hat. What made me want to write my book was I've led such a crazy, mad, sad, good, dangerous, exciting life that I thought, you know, why not share my experiences with the world to deter anyone away from committing crimes and taking drugs, because it is all in this book. And you know what? Committing crimes, taking drugs, it all ends in tears. You might think you can get away with it, whatever you're doing, bit of skullduggery, bit of shotting, serving up, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, you know, when you least expect it, you're going to get your collar felt. And that's the truth. You know, they say all good things come to an end. Not that it's a good thing, but what I'm saying is, you know, you can only reign for so long. And then you're going to get your collar felt. So it's a big mugs game, because once you're behind that door, yeah, or behind that Peter, whatever you want to call it, you're just a number. You're not a name no more. To screws, you're just a number. So that's why they give you a prison number, which is now known as the NOMS number. And as it happens, when I got that 12 years, they introduced the NOMS program in the system, and what that means is it gives you one prison number, like one old UB40 number, I suppose, or one whatever you want to call it, a number. But what they've done is they created this thing called a NOMS, which means they give you, so in other words, they give you one number, and it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. It's despite how many times you go round that revolving door, go back to jail, you're always on the same number. Whereas before that come into play, every time you went to jail, you got a different number. So I'll never forget my number. My number was AJ8141, Barnet. So yeah, that was my number. But towards the end of my sentence, it actually changed, and it give me a NOMS number. But on my cell card outside, it still had my AJ number. But then, you know, to all authorities, that side of the fence, I was a different number. But this is what I'm saying. You go to jail, all you are is a number. Do you lose your pride and your dignity? In a way you do, because, you know, you talk to people in there, for instance, who you wouldn't even butt an eyelid on the outside, you know, and you meet people in there from all different walks of life, from totally different walks of life for you, but when you're in there, you're all together. You know, that's what I said to you about the pecking order. There is a bit of a pecking order in every single jail up and down the country, but there's no such things as bullies, because the bullies end up getting bullied themselves. You know, there's still some morals or code of conduct practice in jail, which is a good thing, really, isn't it? Anyway, now I'm 6 minutes in. I'll have a little chat with you about the Road Rats. Now, the Road Rats MC London, that means Road Rat Motorcycle Club London. My friend, from my childhood, I first met him when I'm not going to mention his name, or who they're connected to, but I first met them when we moved to our new area of Mitcham Lane in Streatham from Tooting, and I was around 7 or 8 years of age. Now, my mate who I met was a boy. Yeah, his name is Paul. His mum was married to a road rat. Again, I can't mention his name, but what I can say is every time I heard his Harley Davidson chop coming up the road, roaring up the road, going round to my mate's mum's house, I was out my front door running round to my pal, because I loved sitting on the bike. I loved seeing the flags, the colours, you know, the patches. I loved the smell of the petrol. I loved the sound of the big bikes, you know, with the big old heads coming out of them. I loved everything about it. So from there, I met another guy. His name was Spider. He had a big massive spider's web on his face. I weren't going to mention his name, but I'm not going to say anything which will get him or me in trouble. But what I can say is, as I said, I met him when I was probably about 10 by now, Spider. He was a prospect at the time to the Road Rats, which was with my mate's mum, a road rat. So yeah, I've become very good friends with Spider over the years, you know, not straight away. We didn't, you know, didn't gel straight away, but I was in my pal's house all the time, or I was on the road, on the street all the time, causing havoc. That was his cup of tea too, causing havoc, getting noticed, all for the wrong reasons. So we gelled very, very nicely. And, you know, he was very, very well connected. Spider was a lovely fella. He really was a nice fella. And this is what I'm saying about Hells Angels, about Road Rats. You know, they've all got codes of conduct. They've all got rules which they live by and they'll die by, which to me makes a lot of sense. They're a very, very close-knit brotherhood with unwritten rules, you know, and it stems back years and years ago, you know. But originally Road Rats come from London. That's why they're called Road Rats London. But I believe, like, it's in the 1960s when they first got together, come out, you know, from the army, most of them. A lot of them stem from the army, you know, soldiers. And that is how they carried themselves in their brotherhood as soldiers. And that is what I loved, you know. I loved it because they lived by the rule, and you can't fault that in life, can you? You know, and if you become friends with one of them, whether it be an Hells Angel or a Road Rat, yeah, you'll be friends with that person for life, and they'll take their jacket off their back to give to you. Obviously not with patches on, but they'll take, you know what I'm saying to you, they'll give you the last pound out of their pocket. So yeah, spent all of my childhood around the road rats. I used to love sitting. Every time I used to go round to my mate's mum's house, I used to hear him, and as I said, I used to run around there, and I used to knock on the door. I used to say, "Can I sit on your bike? Can I sit on your bike? Take it off the stand." You know, I used to love it. And the handlebars were right out there, you know, and you're sitting right on the floor. You know, you've got a small back wheel, a big front wheel, all the chrome. Lovely. Attention to detail, you know, and they're thousands of pounds worth of vehicles. So these are not riffraff, what you see, you know, what are formed as like gangs on the street. These are different, you know what I mean? They carry themselves different, yeah. But yeah, he really was a good pal of mine, Spider. And it's a shame really what happened to him in the end. I can't go into that for legal reasons, but what I can say is Spider got a life sentence. Got to be careful about this, but what I can say again is, as I said, I met him, you know, in the late 80s, I don't know, early 80s, I suppose, mid 80s, when I was like, you know, 8-10 years of age. Spent my whole childhood around him, got really close to him. You know, he used to come in my house, my mother used to cook him a bit of grub, and, you know, it was vice versa. I used to go around my mate's house, his mum would cook the grub, and really good times, the old school times. And I put that go-kart on my community post yesterday about the wooden go-kart with the, God, used to make them up. Do you remember that? With the silver cross wheels on the go-karts and string for the handlebars tied around the wheels. God, man, what good times, what good memories. But yeah, Spider ended up getting a life sentence, and I was at this time probably 20, maybe 19, 20, something like that, nearly turning into the adult 21. But yeah, I ended up getting 12 years in 1999, and around 2001, I was in Wandsworth prison, hanging over landing like you do, you know, on association, which was very, very, very scarce. It was a bit of a screws jail, run by the screws. That's another story I'll go into altogether. Anyway, out of the blue, someone come along, patted me on the shoulder, and said, Joey. And I looked in his eyes and I thought, I know you, but I just can't place you. And don't forget, I spent my whole childhood around him. He said, it's Spider. And I looked at him again, looked in his eyes, and I was just like putty in his hands. I thought, oh my God, you know, this is my connection to the outside world. And when you get a connection in jail to the outside world, you know, you'll stand firm with each other. You know, you'll be prepared to get another sentence for each other. You know, you're inseparable in there. You become a unit. And yeah, we become a unit. But when I see him, that's why I had to look twice at him. He had the spider's web completely lasered off of his face. And it was the parole board and the system what made him have that done. Because he was a lifer, he had to be seen as being reformed. He had to be seen to have left the brotherhood, and it cost him the removal of the tattoo. Some might say it was worth going in there for, because it was so dominant on the side of his face. The whole side of his face was a web. Big shout out to you, Bill. I'll talk to you in a minute about Bill, but Hydro Bill. But yeah, man, he had the tattoo removed, and I don't know, we spent about 6 months together in Wandsworth on the C Ring, you know, doing everything together. And then one afternoon he come back to my cell and said he was being transferred out. But you know what, we both did shed a tear, to be totally honest with you, because don't forget, you know, it was the 80s when I first met him, and now when I'm with him, it's 99, 2000. So he'd spent 20 years in jail, yeah? By the time I'd seen him in Wandsworth, he'd done 20 and he was still away. I can't go into the offence of why he was away, but he was still away. And I've completely lost touch with him. But I hope he's out. I really do hope he's out. You know, he'd love to hear from me. He's not on Facebook. I've been searching him, but I'm going to make some more inquiries to a very close few connections which I've had all of my life. I've known me all my life. I've known them all their life, and they're connected to Spider. So yeah, I'll be doing another video about that altogether. But I'll tell you something now, you can never ever judge a book by its cover. If you become friends with an Hell's Angel or a road rat, yeah, you'll be friends with them for life, you know, and they're normal people. Yes, we live in a stereotype world. Even I get stereotyped for having a tattoo on the side of my face. What side is it? That side. I'm looking back the front. We live in a stereotype world, and they did get stereotyped, and they do get stereotyped. And you know, whenever this, the press can put something in over the newspapers or over the news about them, it's always bad. It's just never good, you know. But when you get to know them, they're lovely, lovely, genuine, 100% genuine people, you know, who would literally, as I say, give you their last pound. I used to go, yeah, when I was in my, how old was I? Early 20s, probably 22, 23, 24. Another mate of mine was an Hell's Angel, and obviously the clubhouse was up London, and I've been up there a few times. I got invited up there by my pal, who is also an Hell's Angel. I'm not going to mention anyone's names, but yeah, he invited me up to the club, and it is literally uptown London. It is like a mansion. It really is like a mansion. You know, good company, great laughs in there. You know, probably the best times of my life I spent around Hell's Angels and road rats. So how I'll never become a prospect and become one, I don't know, because I took a different path in life, a different lane, different destiny, and it sidetracked me and, you know, put me behind the door for many years. But yeah, I hope you enjoy my content, guys. I'll be back at you in a bit. Peace.